Yo, 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 what is going on YouTube? It is your boy GCTV, and we're back with another video this is the first of two videos today. Later, we're going to be doing a live stream of all the NBA games that were on tonight. But first, we have to talk about the 12th episode of The Sopranos, Isabella, a lot of interesting things, a lot of intertwined storylines. And since this is a recorded version, I decided to make this a little longer of a video, a little more, discussion. And the biggest quote of the day here is, I'm like King Midas in reverse. Everything I touch turns to shit. And that's something that Tony Soprano said, and it might be true for to an extent. So let's get into the episode. So Tony is depressed over Pussy's sudden disappearance and hides inside the house all day as a result. He's kind of going through some sort of depression. Chris relays this information to Silvio after meeting with him, and Silvio tells him that it's just a phase and will pass, and it's perfectly understandable. This is a really close friend of Tony. At the Soprano house, Carmela tries to arouse Tony, who tells her that he's taking lithium and Prozac on Melfi's advice. And these meds are going to start getting to him, and this is going to be the result of an insanely, it's a crazy storyline for an episode. It really is. It's one of the craziest things I've seen them do. Carmela goes off to buy a suit for AJ's upcoming prom and opens the blinds for Tony before she leaves. As he gets up from bed, he looks outside and sees a woman hanging laundry next door, and it's going to be super interesting. Really interesting, man. There's a crazy twist that comes with this woman next door. So, at the funeral for a mob associate, Junior is having second thoughts about the hit on Tony. He doesn't want to do it. It's like, this is my family. It's like, it's kind of fucked up to put a hit out on your nephew, like, really. So he's also bothered by Jimmy showing up and saying pointed questions about Brendan Fallone's death. Junior tells him to mind his own business before leaving. Obviously, he is wondering a lot of things, like, Afterward, Mikey arrives and tells him that the preparations have been made and that two hitmen will kill Tony at a newsstand. And Junior's super worried about it because he's not even sure if he wants this to happen. So, Chris meets with Tony, who is distracted and still feeling the effects of the pills, and he's like kind of checking on him. They realize that he's kind of going through some things, and he needs some people around, So, Tony tells him that he doesn't want to hear any more about Pussy and not to do anything about Jimmy until they can prove he's wearing a wire. Like, we don't know if this guy's a rat. They're still kind of centered on that issue. They're still kind of worried about it. It's still a pretty big problem for them. Afterward, Tony goes outside and finds the same woman in the white dress at the Cusimano residence. This woman, I guess. She tells him that the Cusimanos went on vacation and that she's a foreign exchange student who's working as a maid over the summer. Super oddly specific details for what this woman turns out to be. It's super interesting how someone would come up with this in their mind, by the way. My hair is way too long. I need to get this stupid shit cut. So, when Tony leaves to make a run to the newsstand, he's going through his daily progressions. Like, he has a routine. Chris becomes concerned and follows. He's like, who knows what this man is up to? He may be saying he's going to a newsstand, but we don't know what he's going to do. So, as Tony arrives, the two hitmen, Rasheen Ray and William Claiborne, get ready to exit the car. However, their plan is thwarted when Christopher drives in front of their vehicle and scopes out the newsstand. So, Christopher might have saved Tony's life. It doesn't really matter after this happens, though, because he still kind of has an encounter with these two, but man, Christopher saved him probably right there, because they probably would have got him had he had not drove in front of him. So, yeah, despite their efforts to tell him to leave, Chris tells them off and keeps watching the stand. He's like, fuck off, what the fuck are you doing? These mobsters don't take no for an answer. They're gonna do what they need to do. And, yeah. So, it's funny. Like, they don't want to be, like, the hitmen don't want to be suspicious. Like, oh, get out of the way. I'm trying to see Tony Soprano. Because they know that he's associated with people, and if they find out that he's watching them, like, or they're watching him, then, yeah. It's not going to end well. So, Tony walks out behind the building and enters a side entrance for Melfi's office, while Chris enters the nearby donut shop and is perplexed when he can't find Tony. He's like, oh, I guess he didn't go in and get donuts. I guess Tony did this because he is trying to be low-key about it, and he knows that some of the mobsters might have a clue what he's doing. I don't know. It's really interesting. But yeah, so Junior's vomiting out of a car door as he and Mikey go to meet with their contact, Donnie, after learning that the assassination was botched. While Junior hides in the back seat, Mikey meets with Donnie, who tells him that the hit has been rescheduled for the following day. They're gonna do it again, I guess. While leaving, Donnie makes a remark that even Tony's own mother wants him dead, causing Junior to tell Mikey to silence him. Like, shut the hell up, dude. Like, you don't have to talk about that out loud. Mikey walks over to Donnie's car and shoots him and kills him through the windshield before they leave. And when you're watching that, it's, oh, I didn't know that's what he meant by silence him. So Tony continues to suffer from more and more delusions, and Melfi seemingly ups his dosage of Prozac after listening to him ramble, and it's like, that's probably going to make it worse. Soon after, he goes outside and sees the same woman, who now refers to herself as Isabella, and he invites her for lunch. Now, at this point in the show, it's like, it's almost like too good to be true. Like, this woman's just coincidentally outside of the building. I don't know about that. So at a nearby restaurant, they discuss their similar tastes and family histories, but he has a vision that she's breastfeeding a baby in an old Italian home. Like, he sees a future and a past with her. Like, it's crazy. Maybe he's seen her somewhere. I don't know. So that night, Livia comes over for dinner and antagonizes AJ for his lack of table manners. Obviously, she always has something to complain about. Tony wanders downstairs, still in his bathrobe, and listens to Livia rant about how nobody respects her before getting fed up and walking back upstairs. He's tired of his mother. I mean, she's just doing too much, you know. She's getting into her old age. She just needs to let it go every now and then. Livia cries and says she's never coming back to the Soprano household. The way she cries is quite comical, too. I think it's pretty funny. So the next morning, Tony wakes up and sees Isabella outside again and gets called on it when Carmela sees him spying on her. Which is insane because this is like another vision of his. This is something he saw. She gives a speech criticizing him for being distracted by women and being lazy while she works before storming out of the bedroom in rage. How ironic is that, though? Like, Tony Soprano makes all the income for this family. And I know, you know, he's being a bad person, but, like, should she really be yelling at him? I don't know. So, the next day, Tony goes back down to the same newsstand and buys a carton of juice and a paper. On his way back to his car, 2 shots ring out, both of which miss him and hit the juice bottle and car window beside him. It's one of those funny little plot convenience things that a TV show would sprinkle in, you know. So Claiborne reveals himself and advances towards Tony, who in turn gets in his car and puts it in drive to try to, like, fend him off. It's the picture right here, you know. Right here with this whole thing going on. So, as Claiborne attempts to shoot Tony, who grabs his arm and twists it away. When Rasheen runs to the other side of the vehicle and fires a round, it hits Claiborne in the temple, killing him instantly, so one of the guys is already dead. Tony grabs Rasheen's arm and holds him as he drives forward, eventually causing the latter to fall out and roll off onto the road. Tony laughs in triumph. It's kind of like insanity. He kind of has this episode. Just before plowing to a vehicle several seconds later, can you really fucking blame him? He just fought off 2 people. Like, of course he's going to crash his car. You know? So Carmela, AJ, and Meadow meet Tony at the hospital, who has suffered from several cuts and bruises. It's not that bad, though. They stitch him up. He seems to be fine. The family is hustled out after he assures them he's fine. Afterward, he's visited by Agent Harris, who indicates that he knows Tony was almost killed in a mob hit and offers to put him in a witness protection program. This FBI agent, he's been following people around, been snooping. He knows exactly what's happening. Despite Harris's offer, he tells Harris to stop talking to him and leave. Silvio and Paulie arrive soon after to guard Tony, while the kids indicate to each other that they know it wasn't just a simple carjacking. They realize, like, he's in the mafia, things are going down. So, Junior watches a report on the assassination attempt with Livia that night and realizes that his plan has failed, and now he's going to have to make sure that Tony doesn't realize he was the one that put the hit out on him. He feigns innocence when Livia asks who could have done this. They visit Tony afterward and give well wishes, while Father Intantola stops by to pray for Tony's good health. Behind the scenes, Silvio, Paulie, and Christopher speculate that Junior was behind the attempted hit. They kind of know this, which kind of sucks for Junior because it's going to be going down soon. Like, if they tell Tony this happened, Tony's probably going to get his revenge. So Tony meets with Melfi after hours and asks if she ever told anyone who he was. This is really interesting. Like, why would his wife drive him? I don't know. Why would his wife drive him to meet this girl? This side, or this Melfi, whatever you call her, like a physician or something. Because she knows that he's been distracted with women. I mean, maybe not in the vision, but she knows he's been distracted by women a couple times. So she admits that she mentioned it to her family offhandedly, but never identifies to him in any way, shape, or form. Tony admits that the attempted hit has made him feel alive again, and talks about the experiences with Isabella. It kind of gave him an adrenaline rush almost. So Melfi realizes that Tony's description is actually a hallucination, and Isabella was actually the idolized version of his mother, which is crazy. Tony strokes Melfi's cheek in appreciation before leaving and driving off with an associate. He realizes afterward that everything, and including the meeting the previous night with Melfi, was all just a dream, and confirms it to incredulous responses from Bruce Cusimano and Carmela. Melfi tells him to flush his lithium, and medication is over. Like, you can't take that anymore, obviously. So, after Melfi asks him to come in for an appointment, Tony tells her that he's going to feel a whole lot better once he finds out who shot him. So, yeah, that's kind of where the episode wraps up. I don't know. I think I can just call it. There's not really much to say. It's a pretty good episode. It's a pretty wild. A lot of crazy shit happens. The whole Isabella thing was super interesting. You know, this show kind of playing on the fact that he's like on medications or something. I think that's a really cool little thing. But I'm out. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. As always, this has been GZTV, reviewing the best TV shows out there. We're going to be doing The Sopranos until it's over, and then we're probably going to move on to Cobra Kai. So, peace out, everyone.